Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan Nexus, and today we're going to be doing another video overview of the history of Cantha between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, and its story about the lore and stuff involving Cantha. So stay tuned, we'll get started shortly. Alright guys, let's get into it, shall we?
Shiro
Alright, so we're going
Togashi
to
stood at the
continue
center
this.
of the Harvest Temple in the year 872, holding the dual blades that had just tasted the blood of an emperor. In that single, horrifying moment, as he was cut down by the combined strength of a Kurzik hero, a Luxon champion, and a master assassin, he released a death wail that defied the laws of nature. This was the Jade Wind, a magical shockwave that rippled across the continent of Cantha, freezing the rolling waves of the Southern Ocean into solid jade and petrifying the vibrant Echovald forest into lifeless stone. This event didn't just scar the landscape, it fundamentally shattered the identity of the Empire of the Dragon, setting off a chain of events that would define the history of guild wars for centuries. Cantha is a land of extremes, a place where ancient tradition clashes with radical progress, and it all began with the arrival of humans on these shores nearly 2,000 years before the modern era. While the northern kingdoms of Tyria and Ilona often claim center stage in the histories of the world, Cantha is humanity's oldest home on the planet, a place where the gods themselves supposedly walked among mortals in the Sunqua Vale. The early days of the Empire were defined by unification. Warlord Cantha brought the disparate clans together in 510 BE, establishing the Dragon Empire and commissioning the first Raizu Palace. It was a golden age of sorts, but one built on shifting sands. To the south, two powerful tribes remained fiercely independent. The Luxons, nomadic seafarers who roamed the waters, and the Kurziks, deeply religious people who built their lives within the gargantuan trees of the Echovald. For centuries, these two groups existed as vassal states, locked in a cycle of blood feuds and cultural rivalry that the emperors in the north struggled to contain. When the Jade Wind hit, it forced a brutal adaptation. The Luxons found their ships literally trapped in glass-like waves, and they were forced to become miners of the very sea they once sailed. The Kurziks, meanwhile, had to carve their homes out of petrified wood, turning their forest into a fortress of Gothic stone. This was the fractured world that players first entered in the factions campaign of the original Guild Wars, arriving at the Xingji Monastery just as a new darkness began to stir. At the heart of the monastery was Master Togo, the half-brother to Emperor Kisu and a mentor to some of the greatest heroes the world has ever known. It was Togo who first recognized that the peace of the island was being threatened by a horrific new disease, the affliction. This wasn't just a plague of the body, it was a corruption of the spirit. We see this play out vividly at Minister Cho's estate, where a routine visit turns into a nightmare as the hosts transform into mindless, bloated monstrosities before the player's eyes. The search for the source leads to the holy valley of Zen Daijun, where the air is thick with a vile miasma and the local library has become a hive of the corrupted. It was here that the realization dawned. Shiro Togashi had returned as an envoy of the mists, and his presence was literally rotting the empire from the inside out. The narrative of factions is a race against time as heroes from Tyria and Ilona join the local forces to stop Shiro from once again murdering an emperor and unleashing another catastrophe. The climax at the Imperial Sanctum remains one of the most cinematic moments in the series, a final confrontation on the rooftops of the palace as the fate of an entire continent hangs in the balance. But the defeat of Shiro Togashi was only the beginning of Cantha's transformation. In the power vacuum that followed, a new movement emerged, the Ministry of Purity. Founded by Minister Reiko Murakami in 1077 AE, the ministry began as a grassroots effort to finally eradicate the remaining afflicted. They used a young survivor named Ashu as a living symbol of hope, a child who had miraculously survived the slaughter of his family. For the common people of Kaineng City, tired of living in the shadow of disease and crime, the Ministry of Purity represented a new, strong vision for the future. However, as documented in the Winds of Change storyline, this organization quickly devolved into a xenophobic and totalitarian regime. They didn't just want to clean the streets, they wanted to purge anything they deemed unpure, which included non-human races like the Tengu and even Canthans who disagreed with their hardline isolationist policies.
All right.
This zealotry found a perfect partner in Emperor Usaku, who took the throne in 1127 AE. Usoku was a man of iron will who spent millions in gold to arm a massive military, which he then used to forcibly annex the Luxans and Kurziks, ending their centuries of independence and bringing the entire continent under the singular, crushing rule of the Dragon Empire. Under Usoku's regime, Cantha slammed its doors shut. The empire severed all contact with the outside world, expelling foreigners and driving the Tengu population into the sea or to the northern continent of Tyria. For over 200 years, Cantha became a ghost story to the rest of the world, a place of mystery and rumors. While the northern kingdoms were battling the rise of the Elder Dragons, Cantha was undergoing a technological revolution that would change everything. The key was the jade itself. Canthan innovators, led by the brilliant mind of June and her company, Sunlai Jade, discovered how to harvest the magic trapped within the petrified waves of the Jade Sea. This wasn't just magic, it was power. They developed Jade Tech, a fusion of ancient ritualism and modern machinery that allowed for a level of infrastructure the rest of the world couldn't dream of. By the time of the End of Dragons expansion in Guild Wars 2, Canning City had transformed from the sprawling, overcrowded Kowloon-inspired slums of the first game into a neon-lit, high-tech metropolis powered by green glowing batteries and patrolled by Jade bots. This technological utopia, however, was built on a foundation of hidden peril. The jade was not just a stone, it was a reservoir of magic from the elder dragon Suwon, the mother of all dragons. She had been secretly working with the Canthan government, specifically June, to filter the world's excess magic through the Jade Network to prevent the collapse of reality. But as the dragon cycle began to fail, Suwon's ability to hold back the corruption, the void, weakened. The return of the Pact Commander to Canthan soil wasn't a peaceful visit, it was a crash landing into a political powder keg. Players find themselves navigating a complex web involving Empress In, the current ruler of the Dragon Empire, and the lingering remnants of the purists who still dream of Reiko's original vision. The visual contrast is stunning. The hyper-modern skyline of New Canaan stands just miles away from the ruins of Old Canaan, which was largely destroyed by the Great Tsunami following the awakening of the Elder Dragon Zaiton. The story of Cantha is ultimately a story of cycles. It begins with the creation of the Empire, moves through the cataclysm of the Jade Wind, suffers under the tyranny of the Ministry of Purity, and finally finds its way back to the global stage as the centerpiece of the Dragon Cycle's conclusion. In the final moments of End of Dragons, we see the death of Suwon and the birth of a new era, the Age of Arene. The very jade that powered the city is now losing its charge, forcing Cantha to once again reinvent itself. From the humble docks of Saitung Province to the highest towers of the Ministry of Security, the legacy of this land is one of survival against the odds. It is a place that has been broken and rebuilt, purged and renewed, and it remains the most evocative and complex chapter in the history of the Guild Wars universe. The journey from the stone sea of the past to the neon future of the present serves as a reminder that even the most petrified hearts can find a way to beat again. Take a moment to recommend this look into the history of Cantha to someone else who enjoys discovering the hidden depths of epic stories.
Alright guys, that is the history and lore of Cantha. And also, like, it's very interesting to see how Cantha kind of evolved and around the timeline of Guild Wars, and how the magic was embedded into the Jade all that time, that provided them all that technology and advancements, but then like seeing it all collapse all over again and lose all its technology. And I mean, it's very interesting to see the progress and the timeline of Cantha. I think it's a very unique story involving around Cantha. I think that's probably one of my most favorited lore information stories was around Cantha, because like it has so much history and lore, and it's where it all started, and it's all where it all continued on to progress. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing part is free, and the like is free also. But also, it helps out a lot to subscribe to this channel. And make sure to leave a like to spread the video to more people. And you can follow me on Twitch. It's Ryan Nexus on Twitch also, just all one word. And sometimes I'll stream on there, but most of the time I do music videos and other kind of Guild Wars videos, other game videos on this channel. So hope you enjoyed, and see y'all later.